Hi, it's Rana, and today I have a layout that is on the Pretty Little Studio blog. This is a design team layout that I worked on, and I'm also doing two hops. So the first is Mix It Up Monday, which is a hop that is hosted by Tara O'Rourke on the Paper Snob Facebook community, and also 52 favorite photos of everyday life, which is hosted by Miranda Weber. I am using lots of different products. I've got some die cuts already picked out here. I kind of pulled out some of the purple ones. I'm going to do some mixed media on this layout, so I have a few mixed media items here. That is paper glaze from Picket Fence, and then I have a couple of distress inks, a couple of stencils, and then some more stickers from the Wildflowers collection from Pretty Little Studio. Those are some of the papers that I'm going to use, and I am going to follow a sketch that was created by Cassandra Tooth, and that is the sketch that everyone who is playing along with Mix It Up Monday is using today. We take a sketch and then we also add some mixed media, and so that's what I'm doing here. I'm testing out my inks, trying to decide which color to use, and I'm going to go with this one here. It's the second one that I tried, and I liked how the green looked with these papers from Pretty Little Studio. So the Wildflowers collection has been out for a little while. I absolutely love how it looked with my photos. These photos are part of my 52 favorite photos. And actually, I just took these photos. So I haven't really gone through all of my photos and picked out something to use for every week. Each week I kind of go through. Some of them I've kind of got set aside, but mostly I'm kind of going through and trying to decide which ones I want to do. I want to have all of my 5 grandkids represented in the 52 weeks. So I'm kind of trying to alternate. Sometimes I've done 2 in a row of one of the kiddos. Maybe I chose something that I wanted to do 2 weeks in a row or whatever. So these photos, I had this dress that my granddaughter's mom brought over. I keep her during the day, and so we have plenty of time to play around with some little photo shoots and such. And I pulled these out, and as soon as I took the pictures, I knew this is what I wanted to do for 52 favorites. I love how they turned out, and it was a struggle, I'm not going to lie. She was not really cooperating until I got the little M&Ms out and put those out and told her she could eat one as soon as she smiled for my picture, and she totally thought that was hilarious and did a great job. So they're just, one of those things, and it's a favorite because it was a fun little photo shoot that we were doing. I even got the steamer out and a tablecloth and steamed it and just played along. She was taking a nap and I got it all set up and ready, and then when she woke up we did that, and it was kind of fun. So you saw me do my inking with the Distress Oxide ink through the one stencil, and then I took a second stencil that was a Simple Stories one. The first one was Tim Holtz, and just go through with that paper glaze. Now, the paper glaze, I'm sure you noticed when I first opened it, it was very thick. I couldn't even hardly stir it up. So I went off screen, added some water, and then I just took that fork that you saw sitting there and smushed it through the fork and mixed it around really well until I got a good consistency. It was not the consistency that it was when I first bought it, but I have, just left it sitting there in the jar and not used it as much as I should have. And so it's definitely drying out. I think actually that's the second time I've added water, and mixed it up. And, so far it still worked and I was able to use it on the layout and it looks great and it's not rubbing off or any of those kinds of things. So I think it's going to be fine, but I definitely need to get it used up. So here I'm adding a little bit of white rickrack, this little tiny mini rickrack, and I'm going to use that in between the two layers here, just kind of as a, just a little added accent and a softness with the fabric trim there. And then I'm also going to do some stitching. And I really liked how this looked along with my photos. I want my photos to be the main attraction, and I like to add things that I think highlight the photos. And this little, it's kind of like a little sweater dress, and it kind of has some, I don't know what you'd call that, little crocheted details around the neck and the hemline and the sleeves and everything. And it's just such a sweet, sweet little dress. Oh, here I'm unpacking. I had a field trip, so I was in the car for a couple of hours, and then we also thought we were going to have a baseball tournament, and we got on the road, and I had taken this along to finish up the stitching that I hadn't done the first time, and it got canceled, so we ended up doing some other things, but so I'm just finishing up the last little bit of this chain stitch. I saved just a little bit to show you. If you do have car rides and things like that, I'd love to know what you do in the car to keep your hands busy. I'm not a great rider. I don't love it. I was with my daughter and granddaughter, and we were meeting the oldest grandson in St. Louis to go with his field trip. And we had a good time. It was exhausting, but it was, when you're with a lot of fourth graders, it's exhausting. But there were so many different field trips from just different schools and things. It was kind of crazy and tons of kids but it worked out and they had a good time at the zoo part of it. The science center I think was kind of just too crowded. It was overwhelming. I don't think they loved that too much. But anyway, tell me what you like to do in the car. I have that little case that you saw that I like to take with me and do hand stitching or, fussy cutting, stuff like that. I love to do those kinds of things in the car. So the next thing after I finished all of my stitching, I taped down the back ends, and then I went ahead with some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and just glued down that strip a little bit more. I had used some of my regular adhesive that I always use under it when I was just tacking it down, but because it's going over that that texture paste, I wanted to add some mixed media also, and then kind of doing my fingernails the way I was there, trying to get the paper to stay under all of my stitching. That kind of helped it make the stitching look like it was on top of both layers, when in fact I just kind of went with my stitches on the white, and then but it still worked out really well with the stitching going over that after I got it smooshed down a little bit and glued down properly. It worked out great. You can kind of go over both layers when you're doing a stitch like that, but for me it was just easier to do it on the white layer, and the white cardstock, and just glue down the other, and it worked out fine, and you can't really tell. So now I'm going through all of the die cuts that I had pulled out, and I pulled out a ton. I'm not going to be able to use all of them, but I sure added a lot. Probably more than what the sketch called for. Well, I know more than what the sketch called for. It only had 2 little areas, and I'm going to add just quite a few here. I loved how it was looking, layering these over top of that floral paper on each side. So I just kind of went crazy. I wanted some of the green in there. I wanted some of these flowers that just were also represented on that floral paper, and this just kind of gave it another added dimension. So I really liked how it looked, and I was having a lot of fun adding these, so I just kept on. I am going to add my title, and then that phrase. The phrase says, "To have joy in your heart, one must know how to appreciate the small things in life." And little Miss Carly here was really appreciating the little pastel M&Ms. So I'm thinking that was the small thing in her life at the moment. She thought that was really fun. And the little tiny picture is one of her eating one of the M&Ms. She did not like my lilacs. These are just from a bush that I have in my yard. And I went and cut a couple of them, and they smell so amazing. She wouldn't even touch it. She hated it. She just kept throwing it at me. So I didn't get any pictures of her smelling the flowers, but that would have been cute too. So I'm showing you now all of the dimension because I added several different thicknesses of foam tape behind the different die cuts to give different lift for different florals. And I love how that looks. I did change where one of the little florals were, and I added it up because there was just a really good place where it would nest up under that phrase. And then I may have moved a couple of butterflies around too as I was adding those last bits of foam tape as I was gluing it down. But pretty much you saw where I was going to place everything. Here are my close-ups. There are playlists for both of the hops that I'm doing, and lots of other people participating with those. And then also all of the products that I used today, you can see on my blog post with links to the store. So if you go to that blog post, and I'll have that linked below, you will be able to just click on the link and take you right to the exact product that I used. It's not an affiliate link or anything like that, but it will take you to the store, and that way you can purchase that if you are interested. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate you. Bye-bye.